the ashes, the spirits light up the night, looking down the edge of forever. So stop me to take my advice.
Now, from the Untold Radio Network, it's Untold Radio AM with Doug and Alex Hajicek.
Hello, hello. Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
What's wrong with your mic? Big time.
There you go.
It's fake. There you go. There you go. There you go. You need to turn it down a little bit now. It was off. Something was going on. Anyhow. Isn't that weird how settings will all change if you just leave your computer alone for a day or two?
Yeah.
Have you noticed that too?
Yep. You got to keep an eye on those computers. They'll get away from you.
Yeah. Anyhow, so welcome everybody. This week just zipped by. And me and Alex are both frazzled from negotiating, signing contracts, getting contracts out. It's been contract week all week.
Yeah.
I mean, right up until what? An hour ago.
Exactly.
It's not the funnest thing in the world to do. Anyhow, but we're making progress on lots of stuff. It's Independence Day coming up, July 4th.
Yeah, exciting.
It's the last show until after that. That means summer is half over.
I know. It's already gone.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay. Which, if the smoke doesn't quit, I mean, it's bad. If you take one of these air meter things out, it literally says dangerous. We're like in the 200 range for particulate and formaldehyde in the atmosphere. It's bad. I mean, I'm getting calls going, I can't breathe. And your eyes are burning. It doesn't seem to bother you.
No.
You don't even notice it. You don't care.
Yeah, I'm a stormtrooper.
Gosh, it's weird. I mean, it really bothers me. It drives me nuts. Okay, so it's been hot, and so summer, if it goes away a little early, might not break my heart. So anyhow, tonight we have Dean Gleason on, Dean Gleason Sr. on. And he's been a researcher for like 30 years.
Incredible.
So it should be kind of cool to get him on and basically talk all things Bigfoot. And I know he's formed a lot of opinions and some really good theories. So we'll get into that. We may also have two bonus guests tonight. We were supposed to, but one of them looks like they're AWOL on us.
Yeah.
So that's all you've said tonight is yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, sometimes you're just not in a very good mood because people are super rude to you. So.
Oh, no. Who?
I don't know. Take a guess. Anyways, let's keep doing the show.
Okay. Anyhow, we've got what's going on here tonight? Oh, so I was out raking my beach and I had to use a what do you call it? A rototiller. Discovered this rototiller to get all the weeds because I've been out working every day and the weeds grew up and you're like, what do? You couldn't pick a million weeds out by hand. And if you go out there with a rake, you're just like beating on the sand because it gets all compressed. So I bought this electric rototiller.
An electric rototiller.
Yeah. And I take it out there and I'm not even using it 5 minutes. It's working great. It's like, oh man, this is the greatest thing ever. And all of a sudden one of the wheels falls off. Just plunk. And I thought, what the heck? So I clean all the sand off. I got to wash the whole thing, clean the axle, clean the wheels, whatever. That's about a half hour of cleaning all the sand off it because I got to drag it into my workshop, put the wheel back on, go back out there, get everything all plugged in again, blah, blah, blah. Doing it again, 5 minutes, the other wheel falls off. And I'm like, oh my God. So I just said, screw it. So I did it with one wheel. I just kept doing it with one wheel. Yeah, the one-wheeled rototiller. But that got me thinking about sand, and I thought, well, we can talk a little bit about sand. A lot of people don't know much about sand.
They don't.
Some people don't even think about sand, how important it is, how beautiful it can be, not only from afar, but up close. And I had a friend of mine who lived in Hawaii who I met through Stacy Keach. And I guess it was pretty much, I guess it was Stacy's best friend. But he would do photograph sand for like calendars, microscopic sand pictures. And they're beautiful. And that's what I think he's what he did for a living.
Which is cool.
It is cool. Who does that? I just thought, no, that's so cool. But I don't have any of his, I had a bunch of his pictures, but so maybe some of these are his photos, but I want to throw up, let's show some photos first. I'll just throw like 5, 6 weird facts about sand people I haven't ever heard of. Throw up photo 1. Well, okay, you can leave that one up. That one just shows you kind of the variety of shades that you would see with your eye from afar, right?
Mm-hmm.
But literally under a microscope, they look a lot alike. So if you were to put, except for the one with the big rocks in it. But go up and throw up photo 2 then. This is with a microscope. They're just, every grain is so different. There's probably no 2 grains of sand, like snowflakes, that are the same. None. Isn't that weird? Think about all the sand grains in the world. And not one's the same. Not the one. So anyhow, just throw up the next one. Photo 3. And then photo 4. I think there's one more. Yeah, and this one has got black obsidian in it. That's the blue pieces. But look at the little micro shells. You see that one right in the middle, Alex?
Yeah, it's tiny.
So detailed, but you'd never see that with your naked eye. And you'll get these little, all sorts of shells and bits of coral. And like when you go to Florida, of course, sand is white, but if you actually put it under a microscope, it's not. It's like millions of colors. Okay. All right. Enough of that. So, first thing I was going to talk about is how rare. I never really thought about this, but sand is becoming rare and rare and rare because, we're exponentially building more, using more, and there's a limited supply of it because it has to wash up, Generally, I don't think they allow mining at the bottom of the ocean or whatever, but there's actually a sand mafia.
There's a sand mafia
that steals sand. Yeah, they steal sand and sell it. And I guess it's $16 million a month business.
Wow. 16 million
a month in illegal sand sales.
In just sand.
Yeah, it is interesting. So what else here? It says humans are using obviously an accelerated, rate of sand for building. Because when you build a house, you've got to pad it all below with sand for the foundation so it keeps it from settling because sand kind of locks in, unlike like black dirt or loam or peat. You don't want to build on that. You want to build on sand. I have one interesting fact. I have no idea how they even did it. So what do you think the highest sandcastle ever built in the world? The world record sandcastle.
The highest sandcastle?
Yeah, take a guess.
20 feet.
69 foot, 5 inches tall.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I would guess, about 20 feet, because how do you keep it from collapsing?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? We all know it kind of holds together on a small scale, but 69 feet. Could you imagine if that thing would have collapsed when they were not quite done putting the last finishing touch on it?
Oh, yeah.
And Bill Devlin was here yesterday. I don't know why I keep thinking it was today. And he was here with his son, Jameson. And I took those guys to the beach so Jameson could run around and play in the fountains and on the beach. And right away, man, he goes to the beach and he starts building stuff and, the shovels. And we all did that. Okay, so what else interesting about sand? Oh, people who collect sand samples as a hobby are called, no, I don't even know how to pronounce it. It's ARENNOPHILES. So how would we pronounce that? Arnopolis?
Arnopolis.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyhow, that's somebody who collects sand.
Love it.
There's a name for it. Yep. Dry sand can be dangerous if you inhale it.
Like it can kill you?
Yeah, it can actually. I mean, you could get histoplasmosis.
Oh.
You can get, what's that lung disease? My grandfather actually died of that. Silicosis.
Just from the sand.
From sand in his lungs, yeah. Yep. Silicosis. Eventually he couldn't breathe.
How does that happen to you?
I don't know. And I think the silica cuts the air sacs. So anyhow, it's my grandfather died of.
So don't go to the beach.
Well, you definitely, you don't want to go maybe every day.
Yeah.
And if you're like somebody who does sand casting or works in a foundry, you want to make sure you've got good protection so you don't breathe it in.
Yeah.
Beaches in Hawaii, their white sand is made of calcium carbonate. And then, of course, white coral sand. I think in Florida, most of it is coral sand and shell skeletons. Yeah. That's what I think. Anyhow, enough of that. Oh, there's one sand grain that actually gets bigger as it gets older. And it's called an ooid.
An
ooid sand grain. They just keep getting there. They accrete versus erodes. They grow.
Jeez.
Yeah. So interesting. Whatever. That's enough of that crap. The other thing that I was a little shocked this week, and I was going to talk about it, give you some examples. I put a bunch of things in a shopping cart, groceries. Then I forgot about them for a few days. Then I went back, and of course it says, important message, because they don't want you to order something and think you're gonna get it, for that price. And I was like, oh my God. So I was going to order some marshmallows. They went from $6.79 to $6.99. There was some cereal in here. I won't give you the brand. Went from $5.99 to $6.20. I mean, remember, this is a few days. Planters peanuts went from $4.42 to $4.98.
Oh no.
Some other thing. Some other nuts. I think it was some trail mix, bag of trail mix. Went from $13.79 to $14.29. Smithfield makes some meat products. Went from $5.99 to $6.79. It's like, whoa, that's crazy.
It's just insane.
So my point is, we don't go through the list. I think inflation is a little more than we all think.
Yeah.
Especially in food.
Definitely more.
Yeah, in the food area. There's another one. Went from $4.79 to $4.99 for some red raspberries. Strawberries went from $6.79 to $6.49. They dropped.
They dropped.
Well, probably because it's seasonal.
Yeah.
So they went down. One more item. Sliced cheese went from $4.04 for a pack to $5.49. Now that's a pretty damn big increase for a few days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, enough of that crap.
Keep
your eye on inflation. All right. So by the way, anybody can do that. Just go to any of your favorite shopping apps, throw a bunch of things in the cart, wait a few days and check back, or wait whatever you want. Just see how much it's gone up. Hopefully it's gone down then by then.
Yeah.
Hopefully. All right, let's go to some clips. And by the way, let me know if we get our 2 bonus witnesses in.
Okay. Abe is in the back room.
Oh, okay. All right, so clip 1, the sound is good. So
1 second.
Okay, so I picked out some tabloid-like Bigfoot TikToks because there are tons of them on TikTok, and I picked out a few that are just a little bit more in the interesting, where they're not obvious junk, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And clip one, and the sound is good. You can just let it play.
Footage that was shared to TikTok.
No, not this one.
Shelf.
Okay.
That was clip two.
Yeah, the first clip you sent was a link to Innovative Hobby Supply.
No, it wasn't. Oh, it was, wasn't it? How did I do that? That's all right. It's no biggie. All right, clip two, the one you had up.
Got it.
All right. This is
a scary trail cam.
There's no sound, Alex. Whoa. No sound, please. This one is good. From a standpoint is I have witnessed this in person, and I've witnessed it online watching, like our what do you call it? Surveillance cams on the forest. And then I was watching another guy's surveillance cam, a friend of mine who had one in his back, and there was a deer. Then all of a sudden there was this eye glow. And as people go, well, it could be an owl. Nah, I don't know. Too big, eyes too far apart to be an owl, in my opinion. But go ahead and play this. I think they're telling you to watch in a certain area. It's actually quite bright. There it is. See the eyes there by the tree trunk?
Yeah.
That is exactly what I've seen.
Exactly.
Yep. It's not too thrilling, but it's like something's, it's a living creature that's making the eye glow, for sure. Yeah. Okay, clip 3 is the sound is fine, and it's about basically this Alba vernix that we're going to be talking about. Maybe we can get Abe on. Hopefully Jason will show up. But this is about this waxy skin oil that shows up on windows. Go ahead and play it. Sounds good.
Finger. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't see the thumb. There's a print right here that shouldn't be there.
Yep.
Okay. And I'm going to tell you what this thing did.
You can pick it up barely right now.
That's a left-hand print. And what is this room?
Yeah, that's the kitchen. So the interesting part about these windows, these were the only 2 windows in the entire home that you could see through the curtain. We changed those. She changed those curtains yesterday.
This is such a common occurrence.
This thing was peeking in to see what y'all were doing.
That's the only window he could see.
It was peeking in to see what you were doing.
So now these guys should have, if they could have taken a lot of photos, better photos, then collected it with a Q-tip, taken numbers of Q-tips once they've documented it, as many as they can, because then some of the samples can be analyzed for the chemical content. Some of the samples can be analyzed for the DNA. And there you go. So it's really 3D evidence. We're going to talk a little more about that tonight. Let's see where we at. Clip 4 is like, who in the heck built this porch?
And what do you like the sound with this?
Yeah, sound is good. Yeah, it's insane. This guy is literally just, play that again. He is just on this porch.
Man, talk about terrifying. And he's filming the whole thing.
Yeah. Some guts. Don't recommend that. Take shelter if you ever get into a tornado like that. For God's sake, he's lucky. But incredible footage. Okay, so clip 5, we don't want to use sound on this. But this is kind of a story, and I got to narrate this. This is about apparently a mother deer that blocked traffic, all to get help for her fawn. So go ahead and play it. Clip 5. No sound. So this deer blocks traffic, and it just seems like it's, like it's almost tame, I guess. So the driver sees the deer, then run off, kind of like a lassie kind of a situation.
Yeah.
So he follows it, which is great instinct. Because she seemed like she's waiting for him. And when you see why, it's absolutely incredible.
Wow.
It's him to the deer is tangled up in a soccer net. Isn't that crazy?
That's incredible.
Yeah. Anyhow, all right, that's enough. But obviously the guy frees the deer and everybody lives happily after. And then the mother comes back to thank him with the fawn, and the fawn approaches him and like almost thanks him and kneels down right at his feet. It's pretty wild. Let's see here. Clip 6. I don't really want to know why all these elk are running. The sound is good, but they're just this huge herd and they're just running, panicking. It's quite interesting. You do wonder what they're running from. My only thought would be a bear. But they're all screaming and running.
Hey,
Doing the
what
alarm
from?
call. Pardon?
What from?
Isn't that insane? I mean, this just goes on and on and on.
It's like a scene right out of the End of the World movies.
Yeah, exactly. If I was there, instead of filming, I would have been running.
Yeah. Instead of just hanging back.
No, yeah, I would have been running too. I'm not joking.
Oh,
You know, you got to take their cue. I mean, they're running for a reason. They're not expelling energy for no reason at all. So let's see here. What do we got? Clip 7 is kind of what I'm predicting will be the new fireworks. You know darn well they're going to outlaw fireworks at some point. You just know it for
They are.
pollution reasons, safety reasons. They've done it a number of times and they've kind of brought them back a little bit. Like Minnesota, all fireworks were banned. Now I think you can have the Class C or whatever, the non-explosive types.
Yeah.
But you couldn't even buy a sparkler one day. But, you know, I mean, it's true. They are dangerous. Kids do get hurt. Adults get hurt. I'm sure every year
a lot of adults
blows. I'm sure every year somebody blows their ring finger off. Anyhow, but this, I guess it wouldn't be so bad. But watch clip 7. These drone shows are getting very sophisticated. And we don't need sound.
That is all drones.
That's just little drones, yeah.
I'll play it again.
Yeah, play it again. I don't want to bore you with all the drones taken out, but they make, they instantly can change into a ton of different shapes.
That's incredible. They're able to do that with so many.
Yeah, so coordinated. That's cool. But I would imagine there's more and more companies just saying, hey, I'm going to get into this and invest in 500 drones or whatever the hell they have to buy to do these shows.
Yeah.
But once the programming's done, then it's done. And then you're kind of, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, you hope you charge them all.
It is safer, but I suppose you could still lose your fingers on the drones, right?
Yeah, I wonder how many don't fall out of the sky.
Yeah, nothing's 100% safe. Okay. So clip 8, I think is cool because this looks to be one of the longest man-powered flights I've ever seen. It's pretty cool. Clip 8, sound is good. It's pretty exciting if you can do this.
I hope he doesn't get tired.
I just wonder why somebody doesn't take something that's that good and market it, Right? Why not?
I don't want the liability for that thing.
No, but you're pedaling yourself. You're your own motor.
Yeah.
If your motor kicks off, that's because it's your own fault. Okay, so clip 9 is really interesting. No sound. But this is just a guy using his subwoofers to levitate stuff. He's levitating. I don't know, give it away, but go ahead and play it. No sound. So apparently he discovered his speakers would levitate an empty pop can.
Oh my God. I can't imagine the bass on that.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, I have some people pulling next to me that have that kind of bass going. Oh my God. Okay. We only got one more left. This is interesting because it could be kind of like a treasure hunt. You can go to the JPL Mars lander site, And you can just look at image after image after image forever and look for man-made type objects or just interesting objects. And I just picked one out. That some guy had started putting them up on TikTok. And I picked one out that I thought looked pretty cool. Look at this one. And tell me if you think this is just naturally occurring. Or is it a bone? It's just play it again. Maybe you can pause it too, right when they zoom in all the way. So pause it right there. So doesn't that look hollow to you?
It
like
does.
At the end there?
Yeah, at the end it looks hollow.
It looks like a vacuum attachment.
Yeah.
Oh, Hoover. Hoover 9000.
back.
Hoover 9000 vacuum attachment.
Yeah, it does.
Or it looks like a scapula or a shoulder bone.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. So I don't know. All right.
But
But there's just jillions of images. And you don't have to look too hard to find weird looking objects or rocks that, you can use your imagination on. And some of them do look very man-made.
okay. Quick update. Jason
Yeah,
is
what's
on
the
his
update?
way.
Oh, okay. Jason is.
Yep, and Dean is in the back room.
All right. Well, let's get Abe on quick, and then we'll wait for Jason. I think if Jason comes
Okay.
So, hello, Abe.
Hey guys, how are we doing this evening?
Good. Now, Abe is from the Minnesota Bigfoot Research team in Minnesota here. And Abe's group was kind enough to use their manpower to put up a whole bunch of these, we're going to call them sebum or skin oil traps, also better known as Sasquatch alba vernix, which is the skin oil. So it's a glossy, smooth Lexan, and it's colored. And we've been putting blue up. And something really weird happened that Abe and Jason are going to talk about here. How long do you think Jason will be, Abe?
I'm actually forwarding him the link right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Well, he should have it. Alex gave it to him.
he said he just texted me nothing to click on.
Well,
So it's a little technical problem, nothing big. We'll take care of that right now.
Yeah. So anyhow, so Abe's team was, really, really willing to do this. It's not easy. It's a lot of hard work. They got to hike out into the forest, into their research area, put these up. Everybody so far has been screwing them to trees. I didn't ask them to screw them to trees, but they have been, and it's got some interesting results. And I know you know the story, but I want Jason to tell it, and then
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we'll give Jason here to kind of drag the heel, so to speak, until hopefully I just sent him the link and he should be clicking here. It's really, really amazing stuff.
Yeah. It's almost real time because this happened to not only Jason, but another member who I will eventually get on here soon to tell his story. And he's already been interviewed for Legend Meets Science. And we've done some filming on this thing. We've also done some droning using a drone. Oh, there he is. So he's going to walk. I gotcha. I don't think he even knows he's on.
Hey, Jason.
Oh, I know.
All right, sit down. You're making us ill. We're all getting seasick here. Okay, hey, Jason. How are you? Yeah, well, anyhow, I'm glad you could make it. So Jason called Abe yesterday, right, Abe? It was yesterday?
Actually, yeah, he called me yesterday, probably around the 4 o'clock hour, then again about 4:30, then after or something like that, right around, paraphrasing here. But he called me, and he had one heck of a story.
Yeah.
Well,
don't tell it.
It made the hairs on my arms stand up.
Yeah, mine too.
I'm not gonna go out. I'm gonna let him tell it, but it made the hairs on my arms stand up. And Jason, when you called me, what took place? I mean, I used to do MMDRT radio, so excuse me for just passing the mic along like that.
I know. So, okay. So, Jason, this all started with you came to a meeting, right, at my condo, correct. You and a whole bunch of other members.
Yeah.
So why don't we start there real quick?
Well, we came to a meeting down at your place, and we talked about putting out these plexiglass squares. So on that note, I took it upon myself to make a plexiglass cube and 3 4x4 squares of plexiglass and put them out at an undisclosed location.
Yep.
I went back to check them days ago. Everything I had put out was gone. And now, mind you, I had these screwed into the trees with 2.5-inch deck screws.
Yeah, at one point you said literally one was bolted on so tight you could literally hang from it.
The cube I had made, I had placed on a bracket, and I could actually hang off the bracket. And I'm not a small boy.
And that was 10 feet up in the air.
Yes.
And as I remember, all of these sample sebum collection plates were put about a mile apart, you said?
Correct.
And they're all gone, which already should have been shocking enough. I mean, that would have been enough for me. I would have been freaked out.
Yeah.
Because you said the bolts were basically ripped right out of the tree.
Yes.
Gosh. All right. Well, just continue on with your story. I don't want
Well, as I was looking for any sign of the missing plexiglass, I heard grunting off to my left, kind of at a 45 behind me. And all of a sudden I started hearing crash, crash, crash. And about 50 yards in front of me, running east to west, were 2 bipedal entities, as I'm referring to them, because I couldn't positively identify them running through the brush.
Were they crashing through, or were they trying to be quiet?
Oh, they were crashing. They were on a full run.
Jeez. How big do you think they were, Jason?
Well, I went over to the area they were running through, and the brush that was broken was taller than I could reach.
Wow.
And I'm 6'1".
Yeah. No, you're a veteran military guy.
Correct.
And I know that when I first met you, you just struck me as somebody. I mean, I met you, it was 5 minutes after I met you, we were already talking. And I went, man, this guy is just like a no BS guy.
Yeah, I get that vibe.
Yeah. And for him to tell this story is insane.
I want to help.
You there?
He's also our first mobile moving interview. We've never had a mobile interview, have we, Alex?
Not live like this, no.
I think we had one drive off on us, like drove away.
Yeah.
But there you are. Where he's back. Go ahead, Jason. Keep talking.
This is something, after having 2 other encounters, they exist. I mean, when I had this encounter the other day, every hair on my arms, on my legs was standing up. I wasn't scared for my life, but it was something like, holy crap.
And then there was something else too that happened. Wasn't there some other sensory thing that happened too, Jason?
The smell.
Yeah.
Right before I started hearing the grunting, it was like a wet dog that had tangled with a skunk and rolled in garbage.
Wow.
Yep.
It was the most putrid smell I had ever smelt.
Yeah, and I have smelt it, and it is bad. You want to cover your mouth, put your T-shirt over your nose. It's bad.
I mean, a skunk spray doesn't bother me. This was bad. This was 10 times worse.
So, okay. So in about, what has it been, about 1 week we've been putting these out?
Maybe going on 2, and we're actually going to be putting more out this coming weekend in
Right.
the location where he had this at.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're keeping our fingers crossed.
Well, yeah. Well, tell us about the reason we picked blue, and of course, Jason's were all blue.
Yeah.
And
So
we're gonna do an experiment. Go ahead.
Exactly. So we got two different color plexiglasses. His was a light sky baby blue. Then we have like a darker blue, and then we have black. Reason being because in these alleged formations, sometimes there is a blue something. It could be a blue piece of plastic, something blue that is sometimes associated with some of these formations. And usually it doesn't really kind of matter what formation yet, but we're still keeping track of all of that as well. So that's why we're going with the blue. And obviously all the ones that he put out are blue, and then I have a different color blue. And our team member Quint, he also had the same color blue that we're going to be deploying this coming weekend. Along with the blue ones, we're going to be putting the black ones out there as well.
And what happened? Okay, now
Yeah.
Quint, somebody's got to turn the volume down. Quint put one out also, and he had his taken also.
Yes.
Which was also bolted to a tree with 4 bolts, which is nuts.
4-inch ones too, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taken, gone.
And that would take some great strength. As in Jason's instances, you could still see the holes from where he relayed to me that where he put the screws in.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just stripped right out of the bark, right out of the tree.
Yeah. And you, Jason, I don't know if you can hear me, but you put some bait out too.
Yes, on top of the cube that I put out, I put an apple.
Oh, okay.
And the squares, I had actually glued pop bottle caps and put the peanut butter inside the pop bottle caps.
Okay. So it was a small amount.
Yes.
Okay. Now, if a bear would have taken those or pulled them off a tree or knocked them off a tree, there would have been chewed plastic right there on the spot.
Correct.
Don't you agree? Yeah. They wouldn't be just gone, totally gone. So were you surprised by maybe the suggestion I made about blue? Were you surprised that they were gone?
I was shocked that they disappeared that quickly.
Yeah. Yep. And obviously we don't know if, there really is an attraction to blue, but we suspect, and it's the only way you're ever going to know is to actually try it.
Yeah.
And now Abe is going to be putting a blue one next to a black one. And the idea of these plates is that they're glossy, they're high gloss. And the theory is that they touch windows all the time, as even in the TikTok clip. It's kind of a constant every week thing. There's a Bigfoot that's touched a cabin window or a car window or a camper window. And so why not just mimic a car window and put it in the woods? Like glass. It's a surface and something that they wouldn't normally come in contact with in the wild. And so maybe they see it as water, like a reflection in a puddle. We don't know. It's all speculation. Just speculation. But we're testing it, and that at this point the results are kind of shocking. Don't you agree, Abe?
Yeah, I would say they're hair raising, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I when I was over at your place yesterday, Doug was like a kid in a candy store. He was getting all excited, he swallowed and everything. It was funny when he was and I had Jason with him talking. Oh my gosh, yeah, it was awesome. But yeah, we're going to be doing some more out there, and just with the black and the blue, and getting some more blue out there as well. In that vicinity, and in other vicinities as well, where we have. I mean, because heck, man, we've got a few great locations. We have a great group of guys, great team members. So we have, locations throughout the great state of Minnesota where we can grow these and see what happens.
Now, you also put a conference on in northern Minnesota.
Yes, absolutely. The Minnesota Bigfoot Conference. And this is going to be our 4th conference this year. We've had great people, and if you look right over here, this guy, he was a MC at the first conference, but a speaker here at the second conference. How about that? So yeah, Doug,
pointing at Doug's face.
Yeah, look at that right there.
Yeah, it's blocked by it's blocked.
Your name tag's blocking it.
Your name tag's blocking it. Anyhow,
We've had Bob Gunlin join us remotely. Cliff, we've had Mike Quas.
Well, who are the speakers this year?
Well, this year we are going to have Dr. Jeff Meldrum. He is going to be joining us, and you guys are. This is the first time that I'm putting out because we have all of the guests right now, and maybe two more. I'm going to leave these two more question mark right now. But as of right now, you guys are hearing it first on Untold Radio. Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Dr. Esteban Sarmiento, Doug Hajicek, and David Ellis are going to be the guests at this year's Minnesota Bigfoot Conference 2023 in Grand Rapids, Minnesota at the Timberlake Lodge and Hotel. The day of the conference is going to be Saturday, October 7th.
Oh, okay.
Tickets are going to be going on sale soon. And so for more information, check us out on our Facebook page, Minnesota Bigfoot Conference. Like it, follow it, and stay up to date. I mean, I haven't even posted this information on the MBC Facebook page yet, so you guys are hearing it raw and first and live.
Yeah. Do you want to put Jason on again, Alex?
He's gone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, being up in the Iron Range, not the best, signal up there.
Well, Jason, he was nice enough to even do what he did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I have another question. There was something else we put on the glossy plexiglass or the Lexane. What was that, Abe?
And that's going to be the hook side of the Velcro. And
Right.
why we're doing that is in hopes of getting a hair snag, some kind of a hair sample.
Yep.
So we can get DNA and the fingerprints and all of that fun stuff. That trifecta basically going on.
Yeah. What's exciting is the fact now you guys have to try to find those blue pieces of plexiglass. I'm going to try to get a gentleman, Scott, to go up with a drone.
Yeah.
Which may or may not help because of the tree cover. I'm sure the tree cover is thick. That's the problem, with drones. They won't see through the trees. Yeah. But we've been talking about putting on a tracking device.
Yes, absolutely. Some kind of a transmitter where we can attach these as well to the plexiglass. So if and when they do get ripped out of a tree or carried off, we'll be able to follow that signal and find them.
It's really a reaction. I didn't think that would happen about these things tearing them and taking them. Yeah, it's crazy.
One was taken within 1 day, and then the other one was who knows how soon, but he went to check 4 days after he put it up.
But anybody that wants to get in on this Legend Meets Science study, please just get yourself a 12 by 12 piece of blue plexiglass, shiny. Don't use clear because it could catch the forest on fire. You could try black, and all I'm asking is just lay it down somewhere in your research area and see whether what's so funny. I got this. I lost my train of thought. To see whether they're handled, because we can get the fingerprints will stick to this surface.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you just check your watch, Abe?
I had somebody come in right quick. Send me a text. My apologies.
That's what I was giving him crap for that yesterday because he's one of those Apple Watches. It's one of those Apple Watches, right? So then you get the call.
It's a smartwatch.
Well, you're welcome to hang out, Abe. We're gonna bring on
Dean.
Yeah, we're gonna bring on Dean here in a second.
Oh, look, we got Jason back here as well.
Oh, well, can you hear us, Jason?
You there, buddy?
He's going to be in and out if he's traveling.
I mean, you can only imagine there's no signal. He lives up on the Canadian border.
Signal there for a little bit.
So, Jason, I'm coming up to visit you. He lives in literally God's country.
Yeah.
He lives in God's country. It's just gorgeous up there. Absolutely beautiful. One of the prettiest places on the planet.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I don't know if you can even hear me, Jason.
He froze.
Probably. Yeah,
so let's go to break and then let's
go to break. Abe, if you want to hang out, that's
fine.
I'll
hang out. Thank you.
All right, sure.
All right.
This Week in Bigfoot, the only news show that scours the internet and the Bigfoot community to bring you the fastest half hour in the cryptid world. From researcher news
Honestly, I was surprised to see Ketchum still around.
to sighting reports and evidence claims
We know nothing about its backstory. This footage would be very easy to hoax.
to the latest podcasts and Bigfoot live streams.
That's Bigfoot evidence. Earlier in the podcast, I mentioned Bigfoot.
These things are clocking the mayor.
If it has to do with Sasquatch or Bigfoot in the wild, man,
Looks pretty sciencey to me.
and it's making headlines. MK Davis recently released his latest improvement right here. It seems to reason that one would get caught on a camera on This Week in Bigfoot. Coming up on this Friday's show, is the Bigfoot community broken? We'll take a look at some of the roadblocks currently preventing science or anyone else from taking the subject seriously. Mike Lucci's got another Bigfoot video for us, this one from the Badger State. Snowwalker kicks down his latest rant in a brand new 2 minutes with, and some Bigfoot prints are found outside a small town in Arkansas. These stories and a whole lot more this Friday night at 8 on the next This Week in Bigfoot, only on CARC Universal. Be there.
Show your support for the Untold Radio Network family of shows and join in on the conversation by using super stickers and super chats on YouTube. Got a question you want answered? Ask it live via a super chat and get real-time responses from our shows, knowledgeable hosts, and guests. Help keep the Untold Radio Network shows running strong. We need your support. Send your super chats and stickers now.
Hey Untold Radio Network fans, want exclusive perks and to support our channel? Introducing our YouTube membership program with 3 amazing levels. Get loyalty badges that level up to different cryptids the longer you're a supporter. How cool is that? You'll also get access to custom Bigfoot emojis and priority in chat. Upgrade to Backstage Pass for exclusive wallpapers, photos, status updates, discounted books, and merchandise. Go all in with the producer level for everything mentioned plus member shoutouts. Ready for an enhanced experience? Join now, pick your membership level, and let's make this journey even more exciting together.
Oh, you're muted.
Hi, Dean. Sorry about that.
Hey, how you doing?
It's somehow we just I can't get the mute button figured out. So I want to introduce you a little bit. So Dean Gleason, he's the founder and executive director of the Seaway Valley Bigfoot Research. Dean's been doing Bigfoot research for over 30 years. He's had 6 sightings, many other experiences with Bigfoot creatures over the years, including finding tracks, hearing wood knocks, howls, and other Bigfoot signs. And he's also appeared on many Bigfoot blogs and YouTube shows. But hopefully you're kind of still a fresh face to our audience. So that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping you haven't been overexposed, Dean.
I don't think that.
No. Anyhow, well, welcome to Untold Radio. And
thank you.
Yeah, we've got some other people that have joined us here. And so let's start out. Tell us about the area that you do the research in.
Okay, well, we're called the Seaway Valley Bigfoot Research Organization for a reason. Most of our area is the Seaway Valley of New York State, which is the border between Canada and the United States. The St. Lawrence River runs through there, and it's called the Seaway because there's a lot of shipping goes on between the Great Lakes and the ocean, and it comes right by where we are. We're just north of the Adirondack Park, which is a huge, huge area of habitat for Sasquatch and all kinds of other critters. The area that I'm in used to be farmed right to the hilt, but a lot of these small family farms have gone out of business now, and they're being reclaimed by nature. And I think that's the reason why we've been having so much activity here, is because the Bigfoot are moving into this area because it's this great habitat.
Are there any residual crops kind of still growing from leftover seeds? Sometimes you get some corn growing out in the forest and grapes.
Well, there's still a lot of there's still a lot of farming going on in the area. Okay. So there's cornfields and things like that. But what is one thing that is really, I think, an attraction to the Bigfoot is that there's a lot of abandoned apple orchards. that aren't touched anymore. They're all grown up, and some of them you wouldn't even know they were there unless you knew they were there. I mean, you're not going to just, oh, there's an apple orchard over here, I can see it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to see it because the other forest has grown around them so much that really the only time you can spot them is in the spring when the apple blossoms come out. But after the apple blossoms drop, they just blend right in with the rest of the forest, and you wouldn't even know they were there.
So they're still pollinating and still producing a little bit of fruit. Sure.
Oh.
So do you believe, like I do, maybe Bigfoots are more prominent on our edges, on the areas near agriculture where there's thick forest, fence lines, power line cuts, railroad tracks? That's kind of where I've been finding the most activity. How about you?
Yes, I think that's true. One of the other people in our organization had an experience in where there were power lines going through the woods. He was there just playing around with him and a couple of his other buddies, and one of them, for a better word, accosted them in the power line, right away, and kind of chased them out of there a little bit. Not real aggressive, but let them know they weren't really welcome there.
Wow.
And yeah, I think that's true. Usually with any kind of an animal, you find their food source, you find them. And there's a lot of agriculture here that they can take advantage of still going on. There's, like I said, the abandoned apple orchards that are all over the place. The deer population in this area has gotten way out of control.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of car deer accidents is the most common accident in our area. The deer wandering out in the road and getting hit. There's tons of water here, ponds and little streams. And of course that is a great food source for an omnivore. There's, frogs and snakes and turtles and everything else you can think of living there. And I think that the Bigfoot take advantage of that.
Yeah. I kind of wonder often whether Bigfoot take advantage of some of the roadkill deer when they get hit, that they're just
I'm sure they do.
Wait. Yeah, I do wonder that.
Well, I'll tell you a story that kind of goes along with that. I'm a deer hunter, and I shot a deer the last weekend of the deer season. And by the time I went to get my vehicle to come back to load the deer on the truck, the deer was gone. And I know it was dead. I had a hold of its antlers, and I was looking at it. And, I've been doing this long enough, I could tell when an animal is dead. And I started shining my flashlight around, and I found the deer. It had been moved about 75 yards and stuffed in a drainage ditch. And there was no drag marks or anything.
Stuffed into a drainage ditch.
Stuffed down in there.
And so
so there was no way anything else could have put it there that didn't have hands.
What did the deer weigh, do you think? Do you know what the deer would have weighed?
Yeah, what did it weigh?
Oh, it wasn't a huge deer, but when I weighed it before it was dressed out, well, it was field dressed. It was 120 pounds field dress. So maybe you're talking maybe another 40 pounds, maybe of, innards. So it wasn't a huge deer, but it wasn't a small one either.
Yeah, but as they say, it's dead weight. It's tough to move a deer like that without dragging it.
Oh, it would take something with quite a bit of strength.
Yeah. That's crazy. And by the way, Abe, if you've got any questions, and of course Alex just chime in here.
Will do. Thanks.
Please chime in.
And then there's Jason.
Jason too, wherever he's going, that's fine. He's cool. If you got any questions too, Jason, chime in. We have our first mobile guest. He's actually driving somewhere. God knows.
Pertaining to the deer that was moved, how did you find it? Did you find it by the blood trail? Did you have any kind of illumination to follow the blood trail? And also, second part of the question, was there any kind of impressions that you seen that were humanoid?
No, there was no blood trail. No. What I had was a flashlight. And it was starting to get dark.
Okay.
I think Dean's internet connection froze.
You there, Dean?
It's been a problem all over the country lately.
He's blinking.
Oh, are you there, Dean?
Okay, I only heard about half of what you said. You broke up on me a little bit there. So if I'm not answering your question specifically, that's the reason why.
You had flashlights last that we heard.
It could be. I'm right on the Canadian border, so maybe my internet's not catching in.
It's fine.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So, how long have you been? I said you've been doing it for 30 years.
I'm here.
Maybe you've been doing it longer, Dean. How long have you been doing research? Active, certainly active.
Oh, I think we lost him.
This is one of those nights. It's one of those nights. How long have you been doing research, Jason? Can you hear me?
Oh, I've been doing this since 2010.
Okay. And you've had other sightings? You didn't have just the one.
I had a sighting in that same area where the plexiglass was last summer. Another team and I were literally within 25 yards.
Wow, very, very cool. So, Dean, can you hear us? We're just.
We lost Jason.
We're just gonna. Dean, can you hear us? Dean. Hello, Dean. Alex, do you want to try to raise Dean?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, there you go. So, tell us about one of your craziest sightings.
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. There's a huge delay. Can you tell us about one of
I'm
yours?
here.
Can you tell us about one of your sightings, Dean? Yeah, it's really bad, this connection.
How are you doing?
We can hear you fine, Dean, but I don't think he can hear us. You want to try asking him a question, Alex?
Dean, can you hear us?
Okay, I think you said, tell me about my craziest sighting.
Yes.
10 minutes ago.
Hello, am I still there?
Yes. It's like we're playing a game of time travel.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody. Sometimes these live shows go really smooth, and sometimes they're literally.
Oh, we lost him.
We're literally rot with problems. Yeah, he'll come back.
So with Jason's sighting, he's also just mentioned that that's where he and Quint also had a sighting. They were right by each other, side by side, last year, about a mile away. I was just a few yards ahead of the both of them, recording with my video camera at that time. And with our Quint's wife, another team member, Susie, right by me, we hear, I'm recording these guys' reaction while they're seeing this creature. And what do? I'll turn around and I start running back. I'm running back, and I'm about 3-4 seconds away from recording the creature that they've seen. I think what it was is that these guys were so excited to see what they were seeing that their reaction scared it off. Oh. And we went back in there, documented, recorded around. You could absolutely see where the tall grass was parted, where there was something big. Oh, I'm always on the heels.
All right. Dean, do we have a better connection?
I hope so.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So tell us about your sighting, Dean, before we lose you again.
Well, I'll tell you about my closest sighting. I've had about 6 over the years. Okay. But about, it was the year that I shot that deer I told the story about. It was not that year. It was the year after when I shot that deer. I was black powder hunting, which, if you know what that is, it's muzzleloader, some people call it. It's the older rifles where you have to actually pack the shell down into the barrel. We have an early season up here where you can hunt and do that. So I was muzzleloading deer hunting that year, and I shot at a buck in the field, and I wasn't sure if I hit it. So I went out and I looked around and tried to find a blood trail, couldn't find one, but I followed the deer where it went into the woods to see if, I had wounded it, because I'm a conscientious hunter and I don't want anything bad to happen. So I spent about 45 minutes or so looking for the deer, and I couldn't find anything, no sign. So I came to the conclusion that I must have missed it. So I made a big loop and came back around to try to come out in the same spot that I started in, to see if maybe the deer doubled back on me and was back out in the field. Well, when I stepped from a little clearing back into the hardwood, I'd taken 4 or 5 steps and I saw something out of the corner of my eye, and I turned around and I looked, and I took it to be another hunter wearing a ghillie suit sitting on the ground. And the land that I'm on is private land. It belongs to myself and my brother-in-law. So nobody's supposed to be on there except for us. So I thought probably somebody had snuck on there and was hoping that I didn't notice them. So I took 4 or 5 more steps kind of in their direction, but I was kind of trying to pretend like I wasn't looking at them. And I got within probably, I would say, 30 yards of them. And I stopped and I turned around and I looked at it and I said, "Hey, buddy, what's up?" And then it stood up, and it wasn't a person. It was a juvenile squatch. It was probably only about 4 foot tall, but it stood up and it looked at me for like a second, and then it just turned around and walked away like it wasn't afraid of me. It didn't run. It just walked away, ambled away, and went back up into the brush. And I'm standing there with my heart up in my throat going, holy cow, I just said, what's up to a squatch? And so that was my closest sighting of a Bigfoot. Like I said, I wasn't very far from him.
So, Alex, can you mute Jason's mic? We're getting road noise.
I muted him.
Oh, okay, great. Thanks. Okay. Did you see the face of this thing?
Yeah, I saw it pretty clearly, actually. It had a dark complexion, very, very dark skin complexion. It had the, the big, thick eye ridges, brow ridges. And the top of his head wasn't quite as conical as I'd seen on the adults, but it was, you could see where it was starting to come up. It was covered in mostly hair, except for the eyes and the main part of the face was pretty bare. But it was really, I can't describe the color too well. It was kind of like a brownish gray streak kind of a color to it. And I would always, that was the closest one I'd ever seen. So I'd always thought they were, either like the cinnamon color or, or darker. But this was, it kind of had a light color to its fur or hair, excuse me.
Really interesting. Yeah, I've heard that, where they're a slightly different color than the adults.
Yeah, that's what kind of surprised me. That's why when I first saw it, wasn't thinking Bigfoot at all. It looked kind of like the same colors a lot of times you see on ghillie suits. Maybe just a little bit different, but close enough.
So Alex's younger brother and I also, we think we saw a juvenile Bigfoot run right in front of my van up in Forest Lake, Minnesota, many years ago. And it not only walked in front of my van, it walked in a very weird way. And then it leaped over a guardrail and ran down an embankment on 2 feet. I don't know what else it could have been. It was completely covered in hair, and it was light colored. Did the juvenile you see walk in any kind of particular kind of a weird way or a jerky way?
Well, it walked in the typical tightrope kind of way, when it walked away, but it didn't walk away like it was in a hurry. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like I walked past you on the street and said, "Hey, how you doing?" And you would either wave at me and keep on walking. That's how it went. It wasn't afraid. I mean, I didn't take it that it was in a panic because it saw me that close. It just, I guess my cover's blown. I better go somewhere else. And it just walked away. And the bottoms of his feet were bare. I could see the bottoms of his feet as it stepped. And it was just amazing. I stood there, I don't know how long after it left, just being amazed at what I just seen.
Very interesting. I mean, that's an incredible encounter.
So how close were you? Would you be able to guesstimate that at all?
I'd say I was within 30 yards of it.
Okay.
30 yards.
Yeah. I wasn't that far.
Well,
I could see it very well.
And at that height, of the creature, it being a juvenile, could you make it? Was there any muscle tone to it that you could?
Well, yeah, you could see it. You could see its muscles moving under the hair.
Okay.
You know, you could tell that it wasn't wearing clothes. It wasn't a person in a suit. It was a real animal.
Right.
It was pretty amazing. I mean, I marvel at the fact that I've seen one that close. The other sightings I've had have always been from a distance, quite a long ways away. But this one was right there, right in my face. Like, wow.
And with it going off, how would you describe the locomotion? I mean, I asked because I'm kind of curious, was his arm swinging or were they just kind of by its side and it just meandered off?
Well, it didn't really go that far, okay, because it was right on the edge of where the brush and everything was. So I didn't really get to observe it walk very, very far from where it started. It was just sitting there on the ground in the main part of the hardwood, but there was brush within 20, 30 feet of where it was setting. So when it got up, I only saw, maybe 2 or 3 of its strides and it was gone back up into the brush. I didn't get a chance to observe it walking that much.
So when you said it walked in the tightrope, did you notice its legs doing the crissy-crossy then? I mean,
yeah, it was like, its hips swung a little bit, but it was in the straight line, like, you always say that's how they walk, in that straight line like a tightrope.
Okay.
And that's, 1 foot in front of the other kind of thing as it went in there.
What about head bob?
Well, there wasn't much of a head bob. Like I said, I didn't get to observe it walking very far. But when it was, I'll tell you this, when it was sitting on the ground looking at me, it had its whole body turned, because it's jaw, like they say, they'll hit their shoulder with their jaw when they try to look behind them. Well, you could see that was obvious with it because they had like next to no neck. This head kind of set down like this. So when it was looking at me, it was actually the whole body was turned looking at me.
Mm. But you said oofta. That oofta moment.
Super interesting. Yeah, the juvenile that we saw, we think it was a juvenile. The head was bobbing just extreme. I mean, it was just going up and down, up and down, up and down.
Mm-hmm.
God knows. How tall would you say the one you saw was? The one that we saw was just barely over the hood of my van, and I would have thought it would have been about 40 inches tall, the one we saw. How about
I was
you?
guessing this one was about 4 foot tall.
Okay, 48 inches.
Yeah, he wasn't very tall.
Okay.
He was quite a bit shorter than me. I'm 5'10" on a good day.
Yeah, okay. Super interesting. So what's another sighting that you had?
The first sighting I ever had, again, I was deer hunting, and I was over on my brother's property, and I had stopped in there earlier in the day to see if it was okay to hunt because he does pasture some of his cows in the wooded area for part of the year, and so I just made sure that he had moved his cows before I went back in there to go hunting. And he said to me, "You might get a treat today." And I'm like, "Why is that?" And he goes, "Well, there was a cow moose sighted this morning out in the field across from where the farm is. And in the area we live in, it's very, very rare that you ever see a moose. The moose mostly stay down south of where we are. So it's only once in a great while a moose wanders up in our area." So anyway, I sat back on my spot all day long. Didn't see any activity, no deer or anything. So I was just about thinking about leaving when my stepfather, he had this old beat up pickup truck that when you started the motor, you could hear it for 20 miles. And he used it to haul feed to the beef cows. And he started up the motor on that truck to run feed over to them. And of course, all the cows got excited because they know that noise means they're going to get fed. So they're all bellowing and taking on. And right straight out in front of where I was sitting, the brush started moving. And I'm thinking, oh, maybe I'm going to get to see that moose because a deer or something else like that wouldn't make the brush move. Like this was how this was going on. So I'm watching that spot thinking I'm going to see a moose. And all of a sudden I see a head pop up. And it was a squatch. He was looking around and he made a noise like he was frustrated. like, you know, how a deep barrel chested man would go, oh. Well, he made a noise like that, but it was 10 times louder than that. And he just looked around, and then he turned around and he walked away. So I got to see him from the shoulders up for a second or two. And that was the first time I ever saw one.
Wow. What was the coloration again?
He was pretty dark in color.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it was jet black, but it was pretty dark. It was a pretty dark color. So
you're doing research very near the Great Lakes, or Lake Erie, wouldn't it be? Is it Lake Erie?
Well, we're St. Lawrence River.
Right.
Lake Ontario isn't too far from us.
Okay, it's Lake Ontario. I can never.
Yeah. I've also gone down to the Finger Lakes and done some investigations down there too.
Okay.
Which are like kind of right in the middle of New York State.
And Dean, you sent a number of pictures for us to share.
Sure.
Do you want?
Yeah, that's a cave that's not too far from where I had my first sighting. That's probably within a quarter of a mile from where I saw my first Sasquatch.
So you think it's possible they might have slept in this cave?
Well, I'm thinking maybe it's someplace. It's not a very deep cave.
Yeah.
It does not go back in very far, but I'm thinking maybe it's something they might use for shelter during a real bad storm or something like that.
That makes sense.
I mean, it would be something I would duck into if I was there and getting wet and that was available. I'd duck in there.
Is this
That's the same cave, just at a different angle.
Yeah. A lot of limestone in that area.
What are we looking at here,
Yep.
Dean?
That was a line of tracks I found in a spot where there shouldn't have been any people going through there. And I'm thinking this might have been a juvenile Sasquatch because the stride wasn't very big, but you can see how it walked in a straight line, a fairly straight line. So I was thinking that might have been, they were definitely tracks. They were definitely human-sized tracks in the snow. They weren't fresh. They probably were a few days old.
How far did these tracks, were you able to follow them for a while?
I couldn't follow them too far because of the area being so brushy, but I probably followed them for, maybe 100 yards.
So at some point it just became too hard to pick them up.
Yeah, I couldn't get through where they were going into. Yeah.
Got it.
Like I said, they were old. They weren't fresh.
Yeah. And what is this? Is this another track?
That's one I found in the mud. You can see the toes. It wasn't. Yeah, it's another track. Yeah, you can see the toes in the heel print.
So it's the heel print down here.
That was over in the general area where I had the encounter. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, and then up in the top there, you can see the toes. Not if you go straight up from the heel.
Yep, I see them.
Interesting.
It wasn't deep enough to cast, so that's another cave over in that area. Yeah, which is, like I said, it doesn't go back in very far, but I thought it could be a possible place where they, might shelter from a storm or something.
So it looks that there might be a lot of caves around this area.
There's a few. I wouldn't say a lot, but there's a few.
When it comes to these cave systems, are there any that go more subterranean underground?
Not that I have found in that area, but I've heard stories that there are from other people, not in this general area, but not too far away. But I have never found a bigger one than like this size here.
And what are we looking at here?
Okay, this is corn and potatoes that I think that they gifted to me. I had been gifting them in an area near where I saw that juvenile. And that's actually corn, and there was potatoes. I really think that they were gifting it to me because I had just left them some cookies the week before. Excuse me. And I came back to my research site, and this was
Oh, we lost him.
Yeah, it was kind of slowly going out there. Anyhow.
So, Abe, have you done gifting?
Yeah. Yes, down in Iowa.
Why are you laughing?
Go, because it's bizarre, man. I mean, so I was down in Iowa, left out apples, hung up, different kinds of things, to be honest with you. And then under this area where I had an apple, or it could have been a glow stick, I found a blue jay feather. And I was like, oh my gosh, what are the odds of that being like right under there?
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool.
So that must have been northeast Iowa?
It was southeast Iowa.
So it was eastern Iowa.
Yeah.
Yeah, for people that don't know, eastern Iowa's got quite a bit of forest and hills, and it actually doesn't look like bad Bigfoot habitat.
No, it's pretty cool, especially when there was a habitation.
Okay. So, Dean, are you with us?
I hope so.
There you go. Yeah, we were slowly losing you again. So, tell us, what does your research consist of? What do you normally do when you go out? What's your goal? What are you trying to accomplish?
Well, I would like to bring back, some proof that they exist. I'd like to get that great photo or that great video. I think that's a dream of pretty much any Bigfooter. I would like to see them recognized as a species so that we can get them protected. Our organization is a non-kill organization. We don't believe that one should be harmed in any way to prove they exist. So I would like to gather some more evidence to get them established.
Did you happen to hear about the skin oil collection system that we're putting out? And
yes, I did. I was listening to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Would that be something you'd be willing to do, Dean?
Oh, sure.
Oh, okay.
I'd be more happy to do that.
Yeah, it seems I would just like to get more people committed to doing this, because we have a limited amount of time where we can get these samples tested by science. And so the timing's kind of important. Yeah, people can continue to do this, but we actually have an opening right now where we can get all this stuff paid for and tested. So yeah, we'll either have to get you some, or we'll just tell you where you can get it. Very cool. So Abe, go ahead and ask some questions.
In your area of research, how many sightings have you had? You say 6 in this area, or 6 throughout your whole time of researching?
That's through my whole time of researching. But the majority of the sightings I've had have been in the area where I am right now. I saw the 2 I described, plus about maybe a week after I saw the juvenile, I saw either Big Mama or Big Papa at about 300 yards. And I think that sighting was intentional, as far as I think the Bigfoot wanted me to see him. I have debated over the years why. I'm thinking that maybe it was either a thank you to me because I didn't hurt its kid being that close and I was armed, or you could have taken it the other way. Maybe it was a warning to me, like, hey, I've got a kid in this area, but I'm the big boss, so here I am. So I don't know, which way that's going, but I'm kind of leaning towards it was the thank you, because of the other interactions I've had with the Bigfoot in that area have all been positive. So I think that's where it was coming from.
With all you said, with the interactions with the other Bigfoot in that area, how big do you think this clan or family group is?
Well, I think there's at least 4 of them.
Yeah.
Because we have found 4 different size tracks. We found real big ones. One's medium size, one's a little bit smaller than that. And then 2 summers ago, we found tracks that look like a toddler. Okay. They were about the size of maybe a 2 or 3 year old human. And I don't think there's a 2 or 3 year old human running around back there barefoot.
Exactly. Well, you said you left out some gifts. What other food items have you left out?
Well, I've left them cookies. I've left them candy. I've left them. Well, I unintentionally gifted them a week ago. I had a jar of sausages that I'd taken back there to have at the camp, and I forgot and left them on the picnic table. And
not Vienna sausages.
No, they were. There's a company up here that makes a pickle sausage, and they're very, very good, but they're kind of on the warm side, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I got you.
They're pretty spicy. So anyway, I left it on the picnic table and forgot to take it into the camp, and then I left. And I came back last weekend to mow the lawn, and the sausages have been opened and eaten. And I looked at the jar, and there was no teeth marks or anything like that. So it took something with a hand to unscrew the lid to get into the sausages.
So these were spicy.
They were spicy. So I think there was a Bigfoot probably regretting it the next day.
Oh, no.
Well, maybe we should. Hey, maybe you should try baiting with Taco John.
Well, I know exactly what he's talking about. I also picked up those pickled sausages too, and I like them. I mean, do you get a big jar? That's a little bit too much, but a little jar or something like that.
Yeah, there's two different size jars. The big one's too big, but the other one's just about right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
We can hang out.
I'd agree.
So
one of the times we were gifting them, one of the other guys that was with me felt bad because I brought the stuff, and he goes, geez, I feel bad. I'm not leaving them anything. So he goes, hold on a minute. And he went over to his truck, and he had a 40-ounce Bud Light can. And he stuck that over there with the stuff I was leaving out. So when I went back to check it, it was gone. The can of beer was gone. So I called him to laugh, and I go, hey, I said, the Bigfoot grabbed your beer. And we were kind of laughing and joking about it. Well, that next fall, when I went back there to go deer hunting, I went to go to my tree stand, and there the beer was sitting on the third rung of my tree stand.
Whoa!
Did it have a hole punched into it?
No, it didn't open. It was still full.
Wow.
But was it blue?
Was it blue?
Yes, it was. It was a blue can.
It was a blue can.
Ding, 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 ding.
There we go.
Ding, 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 ding,
There
ding.
we go.
But apparently it couldn't figure out how to open the can. So it brought it back to me and left it on the rung of the tree stand.
But the point it was brought back is really amazing. I mean, that really is. That should make everybody think. The fact it was gone for a year and then brought back because it knew that it belonged to some people.
Hopefully that's going to happen this weekend.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, wouldn't it be neat if all those sebum collection plates have been brought back?
Yeah, if we could collect all that sebum.
Yeah,
I have a friend in Thunder Bay up in Canada, and he's been feeding them sunflower seeds. He's been buying the big bags, the big 50-pound bags of sunflower seeds, and he's been putting them in buckets and leaving them in a couple of spots down his research area. And for a while, they were taking everything. They were taking the bucket and everything. And so he said one day he took out some sunflower seeds to him and he put the bucket down and he walked away and he hadn't gotten very far and he actually could hear them picking the bucket up by the handle. And so he turned around and yelled. He says, hey, if you guys want the sunflower seeds, you got to quit stealing my buckets. And he said 2 or 3 days later, all of his buckets were returned.
Were they blue buckets?
I don't think so.
I had to ask. I was hoping.
They probably were the white ones, the regular white ones, probably.
So, what are your thoughts on their either aggression or lack of aggression? And thank you, Charles, very much. That was awesome. Do you think that they're very much individuals, where some may be aggressive? Other ones are completely non-aggressive, or all of them non-aggressive?
Well, I think there's some of them that are aggressive. They're individuals just like people are.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they have mood swings too. There's probably times they're in a bad mood, and other times they're, in a joking mood or whatever. I had one of the girls that I do some research with said that one time she went out and she came back and there was a dead deer on top of her car. It was a roadkill. And then they brought it over and put it on top of her car.
That's so.
And she called me. She said, "What do you think that means?" And I go, "There's probably a juvenile Sasquatch standing out in the brush, laughing his ass off at you when you came back and found the deer."
Yeah, or it was just being very sincere and just really meant it as a gift. You
That
know,
could be.
I mean, their values are not going to be what our values are. It's for darn sure.
I've only had one that scared me one time, and that was verbally. I mean, it gave me that great, big, aggressive, howly, screamy thing they do. And that was it. It only happened once, and I'm in that area a lot. And it was just the most bizarre thing I ever heard in my life. But I took its meaning and I left. After it did that, I decided maybe tonight's not a good night to be here for whatever reason. So I turned around and I wouldn't say I hightailed it, but I made a hasty retreat.
Wow.
And
can you mimic?
Got out of it.
Can you mimic the sound? It's no pressure, but
Oh no,
I
we're
might get.
pressuring you.
It's like that. Okay, here I go. I don't know.
Nicely done.
Times that by 1,000, and that's about what I heard.
Nicely done.
How do you do, Abe?
Good. You did good. I feel like I should also do it.
All right, you're up.
Oh my gosh.
I was going for quality, not duration. So,
Yeah, Abe was kind of going for the quality and the attention. I think
Abe's all about endurance, you know.
Long
Oh my god, that's awesome.
You guys are
So
great.
okay, so you think they're individuals? Have you had ever this like infrasonic type dread that you think was just you didn't hear anything, but you just felt you need to leave?
no, not personally. I have another guy that goes with me sometimes who's Native American, and he tells me he can feel that.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. That's because he's Native American, or maybe he's just more sensitive to it. But he's been having experiences with Bigfoot almost his whole life, and so I've kind of learned to trust him. If he tells me something, I go with what he says. But personally, they've never done that to me, to my knowledge. There has been times, yes, I've been in the woods and I didn't feel like being there for some reason all of a sudden, but I just always attributed that to myself. I didn't think it was something trying to get me to leave, you know.
Do you ever go camping like overnight? I mean, some researchers never go overnight. Some, that's all they do is go overnight.
Oh, sure. I do overnight camping. I did that down in Bath the summer of the pandemic. I got a report from down there, and some people asked me to come down. And we did 2 overnight investigations down there, and we had real good results. We didn't have any sightings, but we got callbacks. We got wood knocking. We found scat on that trip when I was there. So I considered it a very good outing.
Any audio recorders deployed or recorded any sounds?
Over the years, a couple of times I've recorded wood knocking. I've never got the howl or anything like that on the audio. It's kind of, people always say, why didn't you get the video? Why didn't you get the audio? But that's usually people that never go into the woods. You guys have been in the woods, so you know what I'm talking about. You're in there and you're in the moment. You know, that's how I am anyways. I wasn't born with a cell phone in my hand like a lot of the kids are today. I'm in the woods because I want to be there, because I enjoy being in the woods. I enjoy the experience of the outdoors, the experience of being there in nature. And you don't always have it in the front of your mind that I should have something running to record what's going on around me. And then you guys know how it is with Bigfoot. He surprises you. You don't know what's going to happen until it happens. And then it's kind of too late to record, because it usually doesn't happen in a long duration. Sometimes you get lucky with the wood knocking. Sometimes they'll do that for a while. But as far as a call or a growl or something like that, it's just so spontaneous that it's hard to catch.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think people should be recording if they're camping overnight, They should put a recorder out, because you'd be surprised how much you sleep when you're in the woods. You sleep, and it's tough to, sometimes people don't wake up, but it catches a lot of really interesting sounds.
I put up I had the Amish do it. I put up a small cabin in my research area, so I could spend the night there a little more comfortably and sleeping on the ground. And several times when I've been in at the camp, I call it my Bigfoot headquarters. I call it Squatchwood. Somebody made me a little plaque. It's on the wall. It says Squatchwood. But several times while I've been there, something has came by and pounded on the side of the camp. And I always figured it was a Bigfoot walking by at night and seeing I was there and saying hi. It's happened several times.
Yeah, that's amazing when they do. They pound on the walls a lot of cabins, and I've experienced it just a ton of times. And
I do a little bit of acting too, and they were I was in a movie that they were filming in my area, not too far from where my camp was. So instead of driving home, I decided to stay the night at the camp, and one of the other people involved in the movie decided to stay there with me. And that was one of the nights that they decided to pound on the wall. And you should have seen my friend. They were just, oh my God, what was that? I'm like, don't worry about it. It's nothing. That's just one of the locals saying hi.
Yeah. It's either, and I do wonder what they mean by it. To me, it's just almost like a show of power, because they also, I think they tear away. They run away after they do it. I don't think they stick around. They pound the wall and they're gone.
Yeah, they probably find us, go to a safe distance and try to see what our reaction is.
Yeah, it could be that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I don't react to them anymore when they do it. So they probably either got bored with me or they just say, oh, well, we're just going to say hi to him today. He's not going to do nothing, because I don't go running outside or nothing. I just like, okay, he was here.
Imagine what you would do if you went outside and gave him that confirmation that, hey, what was that? If that would be an ongoing thing or what?
I don't know.
Jack in the box for them, come hit the wall. Here comes the human,
The last lady that I dated, I took her up there and we spent a weekend, and nothing happened the weekend we were there. But she said to me, what would you do if I went out to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and a Bigfoot attacked me? And I said, what do you mean attacked you? And she said, well, attacked me sexually. And I says, honey, you'd have to take one for the team.
Nice.
She thought.
You didn't score any points on that one.
No, she laughed. Okay. But just think of all the DNA evidence we'd have.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Next topic. Alex, your turn. And by the way, people in chat, please, ask some questions. You guys are going to be very creative in asking some good questions. Put it in caps so we can see it. Please give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe. We're getting towards the halfway point to 4,000 subscribers, and we need your subscription. So go ahead and tell us more about some of the non-visual sightings, some of the other things that have happened to you, Dean.
Okay. I think every paranormal investigator, whether it's Bigfoot or ghosts or whatever, has had that Scooby-Doo moment. And I think you know what I mean by that. But anyways, I'd taken a couple of rookies out squatching one night. And one of them was a young girl. She was probably about 16. And I had instructed her and another guy to go up to the top of the hill from where I was and do a couple of wood knocks to see if we'd get a response. So they did. They went up to the top of the hill and they did the wood knocks. And about 2 minutes later, we got a response. We got a wood knock. And they didn't realize that they were supposed to be trying to be stealthy, I guess. So they were like, oh, did you hear that? Did you hear that? I could hear them way down where I was. So they come tearing down the hill to where I was standing. And they were like, did you hear that? Did you hear that? I'm like, yeah, but you've kind of blown our cover now. You can't be talking this loud when, you're doing this kind of stuff. So we're going to have to move. We can't, there's no sense in staying here now because they're probably going to shut up. So we started walking back to the vehicles. And the guy that was with us, he said, I'll go first. I know the area better. So he was walking in front of me and she was walking next to me. And we got almost back to where we parked the vehicles. And we got a wood knock, and it was right on top of us. I don't know I can't judge how far away it was, but it was not very far. And that was the Scooby-Doo moment. She started grabbing handfuls of me and started trying to climb right up on my back.
Do you think they do it with wood, or do you think they're doing it with their mouth? What are your thoughts?
I think they do it several different ways. They could do it like the great apes do in Africa with the cupped hands. Or they could use a rock, or they could use a branch. Most of the ones I've heard, I've always judged them to be wood on wood. I could be wrong, but
yeah, they sure
that's what it sounded like to me.
My only question on that is when you get a return instantly. Once in a while you'll get a return really quick, and you're like, did they really have that perfect tree picked out and that perfect, banging stick? Because it's not every stick and tree will make that hollow sound.
That's true.
And so I thought, oh man, maybe they are doing it with their body.
Somehow. They could be, because they do seem to share a lot of other great ape traits. So that could possibly be. They could be doing like a handcuff thing on the chest, or something like that. They could be doing that. Yeah. I'm not, against that theory.
So Deborah Irvin asks, she's a member. She asks whether you've seen other phenomena such as orbs, aerial objects, and other cryptids. Any other weird experience?
I've never seen another cryptid. I have seen strange things in the sky.
Yeah.
We are way out in the middle of nowhere, if you can believe that. For being still in New York State, we are kind of way out in the middle of nowhere. And the sky is very clear at night. There's not a lot of light pollution from big cities and things where we are, so you can see forever. And I have seen some strange things in the sky from time to time.
Anything you want to share?
Well, nothing real remarkable other than it's a light that I couldn't explain. And one morning I saw something go over that was fairly large, and it didn't make any noise. Kind of the typical triangle shape that that's been reported lately. That's kind of what it looked like to me, but it was one of those things you just see for a minute or so, and it's gone. But it could have been something else too, because we're not too far from Fort Drum, which is a large military base up here too. So it could have been something that they had.
So Jenke asks, have you had anything thrown at you?
I haven't. One of the other guys on my organization's had a rock thrown at him while he was in a canoe. It splashed right in front of his canoe. But I've never personally had him to throw anything at me.
Very interesting. Just looking for any questions I missed. David Ellis had a comment that Alex could throw up there. It's kind of midway up chat there. Yep, there it is. So David's been obviously practicing, making his wood knock sounds. Yeah, no, it's such. I mean, don't you agree, Dean? This is like the world's greatest mystery right now.
Oh, sure is.
It is. Yeah. I mean, this is not a little mystery, because it's not like two people saw these things 10 years ago. This is sightings every day by very credible people, by military, by police.
And the general public is so ignorant of it too.
Yeah.
I was at a hotel 3 or 4 months ago, and I had on a sweatshirt that had something to do with Bigfoot on it. And this lady at the breakfast buffet said to me, "Oh, I like your sweatshirt." I'm like, "Thanks." And she goes, "So do you believe it exists?" I'm like, "Yes, I do. I've seen them several times." And she goes, "Well, how does he get around?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "There's only one of them, right?" And I've heard that from several people. They think there's one Bigfoot. Like there's one Santa Claus, there's one Easter Bunny, there's one Bigfoot. No, they're a species. And I tried to explain that to her best I could. And she was like, "Well, I never thought about it like that." But there's a lot of people that think there's one Bigfoot, and that's all there is.
Yeah. Have you, Deborah asked, have you ever tried to communicate with them?
When I put out my gifts, I let them know I'm there. Basically, what I say to them is, Sasquatch, here is something I brought for you. No strings attached. It's a gift. I always usually say that when I leave the gift out. Whether they hear me or not, or whether I'm just talking to myself, I don't know. But I always usually say that. And I never put trail cams up near where I gift them. I just do that for respect for them.
Yeah. Very interesting.
In your area, what's your take on possible tree stick formations, and if you have any that you found in your research area?
I found one, but I don't think that they made it. I think they took advantage of it. It was 3 trees that had grown kind of in a triangle shape to each other. So there was like a little area in between these 3 trees where you could stand and not be seen. The trunks were close together. And it looked like something had been using this frequently, had been standing in there frequently, because the vegetation was all matted down. It was all crushed to the ground and kind of dug up, more dirt than plants. So it looked like something had been using that frequently to stand in there. And I'm thinking that they just took advantage of a natural formation. But I've never found one that I actually thought that they built. Somebody showed me pictures of one that was probably about 40 miles from where I do most of my research. But personally, I've never found one.
In your area, are you finding them to be there year round, or is it just a certain time of year?
Well, I'm only there the summer and the fall. I don't go back in. It's inaccessible in the wintertime without a snowmobile or a 4x4 or something. So I don't usually go back in there in the wintertime unless it's for some kind of an emergency situation where I need to go back there. But so it's left alone during those months of the year. So, but I try to get back there as early in the spring as I can. And then I stay right up until probably December. I'm in there until December, or sometimes even January, depending on how much snowfall we get. But there's a
go ahead.
There's a span of probably from February until April or May when nobody's in there at all.
Is there a peak time that it's more active?
I think it's excuse me. I think around the fall, like October, November, in that area, I think it seems to be where you see a lot more activity, or you hear about a lot more activity. But that also could be too because there's more people in the woods that time of year.
Yeah.
Because that's during the hunting season in our area, and so there are more people that are actually out in the woods that time of year. So that might be why there's more sightings and more activity. But I've been there in the middle of summer and had activity. I've been there early in the spring and had activity. So I think that they stick around most of the year.
Alex, I know you got a question.
Yeah, I did have a question. So what, you mentioned that what people get wrong is that people think there's one Bigfoot, right? There's like different types. What are other misunderstandings you believe people get wrong about Bigfoot?
Well, if they've watched Harry and the Hendersons, they probably have a ton of misconceptions about Bigfoot. Bigfoot's not a vegetarian, like a lot of people think he is. He's an omnivore. He's like us. He's like the bear. Whatever the food source in that area is, he's going to take advantage of it. If it's meat or it's plants or it's fish or whatever, he's going to take advantage of it. I think that's one big misconception people have. That he is a not aggressive. I think some Bigfoots can be very aggressive. Fortunately, the ones in our area, there's never been a report of them hurting anybody, and I hope that continues because I don't want a lot of rednecks out there in the woods, looking to kill them. So I think that Bigfoot, are aware of the fact that they can provoke us. So I think that that's why a lot of times they don't do things that maybe would have been to their advantage if they had have been more aggressive with us. But I think that they know that we could do them harm. So that's why they kind of hold back sometimes.
And where do you think this field is going? Like the next 10 years, what are your best hopes of what comes to fruition as far as like the general public?
Well, my best hopes is that the government actually comes out and admits that they exist so that we can get them protected. That's my biggest hope. I know that the government knows they're there. I could tell you stories about things that I know of, that I know that they know. But we have to get it established as a species so we can get it protected. And that was what I really hope happens. I don't want to see them go extinct just because their habitat is totally destroyed or some other man-made cause. I want to see them stay around the planet with us and share it with us peacefully.
What do you think about the people that feel like the only way we can prove Bigfoot exists is to kill one, to hunt one, to bring a body to bear?
I don't like that. We as an organization protested the show Killing Bigfoot when that was on. We sent letters and we all got T-shirts that said Bigfoot Lives Matter, more of those. Sorry, it wasn't meant to be disrespectful to anybody, but we did do that.
Yeah.
But excuse me, I'm losing my voice a little bit. I don't want to see one killed. The government has plenty of specimens already. To kill one, chances are it wouldn't be allowed to be made public if one was killed. I do believe the government does, to a certain extent, cover it up. We had an incident up here with a prison break where there was reported one killed, or two killed during the hunt for the prisoners. And I got that from a very reliable source.
Sorry, Dean, are you saying 2 Bigfoots were accidentally killed when they were trying to capture?
That was the story that was relayed to me.
Wow.
You want to give us more details on that story?
Sure. There's another Bigfoot researcher in my area. I don't do much with him, but I'm friends with him. We don't actually go out, but he is a retired prison guard, and he has friends that are still active duty. And the story he told me is that when the 2 prisoners broke out of Dannemora prison, which was about probably 10 years ago now. Time flies when you get to be an old fart like me. But anyways, you can look up the prison break. It was pretty covered nationally when it happened. These 2 guys escaped from Dannemora, and they were at large for about 3 weeks before they were finally. Well, one of them was killed and one of them was captured. But the story he told me is that when they were out in the woods looking for these guys, 2 Bigfoot were walking through there, and the people that were looking thought that they were the escaped prisoners, and when they were ordered to surrender, they didn't, and they were fired upon and they were killed. Okay. And I said, well, what happened to the bodies? He said they were flown out on a military helicopter. So
very interesting.
That's a secondhand story, I'm not going to swear to its validity, but that was the story that was relayed to me.
And it seemed credible to you?
Yeah, I've never had this guy lie to me, as far as I know. He's a good researcher. He does his due diligence in the field. So I just have to go on what I know of him. And his character.
I have a question about, was he a Bigfoot researcher before, or did it after this happened?
He was a Bigfoot researcher before.
And then, okay, got it.
Yeah. He's been retired from the CO for quite a while.
Do you want to throw up Emmy's question?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see that, Dean.
She's saying that she's heard that red Sasquatch are more aggressive than black ones. Have you seen a difference based on coloration?
I can't really speak to that because I haven't had one, like I say, be super aggressive towards me. And I don't know what color the one was that howled at me that night. The one I saw, the big male that I saw was very dark, almost black, I would say. The juvenile was a lot lighter colored than that. The other ones I've seen seem to be dark colored. One of them could have been a little bit on the reddish, like cinnamon colored. The last one I saw probably was a little lighter, but I'm thinking that might have actually been the juvenile. It's been it's been a few years back that I've seen him. So I'm thinking it may have been him again that I saw, because it was right in the same general area where I saw him.
So Bob mentioned about family size. Do you have a theory or a thought on how big their families are in these family groups?
Well, I think they stay in probably small family groups. I wouldn't say more than 5 or 6 individuals at a time, maybe. Because if they were bigger than that, they'd be a lot more easily tracked, easily identified, easily spotted. I personally think there's at least 4, like I said, in the group that's on my research area, just because of the difference in the tracks that I've seen.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess if I had a theory on it, I would think the family groups are bigger the more remote the areas are.
That's true. I would say that's true.
Like let's say you go and do the wilds of Ontario, where there's the nearest road's 250 miles. Then maybe the family group would need to be bigger in those areas. That would be my guess. So
yeah, that makes sense. If they've got more territory to be in, they can have larger groups and not have to worry about being spotted. Yeah. But the area that I'm in, I'm thinking that they're probably fairly small.
Yeah. Abe, you got
You mentioned your sunflower seeds and returning buckets. I also believe, I think that I'm pretty sure I've had that happen with me as far as communicating with them and asking them for something. And so of other people that they could possibly understand our language. What are your thoughts? I think they do. Like, for instance, I was down in Iowa and we're in this back property. I was standing on a back porch of a house, and it says to the woods, because somebody was feeling something out there, and it says, if you're out there, can you show us that you're out there? Would you please give me a sign? Give me 2 wood knocks. Came out of the woods. I'm like, wow. And I swear on a stack of Bibles, 2 wood knocks came out of they gave me what I asked for. So
I was hosting a panel down in Baltimore several years ago, Bigfoot panel. Mm-hmm. And I always ask the people that are at the panel, have you had experience with Bigfoot at all, or thought you did, or that kind of thing. And this one lady, she was from the Gunpowder region of Pennsylvania, told me that she let her cat out, and when she went to let the cat back in, it didn't come back. So she went outside and she was going, here, kitty, 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 here, kitty, kitty, kitty. No cat. So she said, well, I got to go to work. So I left. So she came home figuring she's going to see the cat sitting on the front steps waiting for her. No cat. So she went out in the backyard, and her whole property is surrounded by woods. And she's out in the backyard going, here, kitty, 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 here, kitty, kitty, kitty. And she said from way off in the woods, she heard, here, kitty, kitty, kitty. And she says the cat never came home.
Another topic.
Yeah. So they mimic. What they understand, I don't know, but they mimic.
Pretty interesting. Everybody's saying they can barely hear Abe. Can you get closer to your mic, Mr. Abe?
I can also speak a lot more louder too.
Oh, just get closer. Get closer. We're getting a lot of room noise.
I don't want to break the camera here.
No. There you go. Get closer, Abe. Get closer. Come on.
All right. Well, I hope this helps.
No, get closer. I'm serious. Get closer, Abe.
Closer.
I'm closer.
There you go.
Closer.
That's fine. Now?
That's good. That's good. That's good.
All right. Great.
Closer.
Oh, man.
Interesting. So, some people have theories on different species or subspecies of Bigfoot. Do you think that that's a possibility, or do you think they're all pretty much the same, Dean?
Well, I think probably they're pretty much the same, but they may have adapted to the region that they live in. And then there's also the genetics thing of it. If they're bottlenecked in an area, they might be a little bit more inbred than they are in an area where there's a lot more individuals they can seek out for mates. So there might be differences exist because of that. Their terrain and their habitat has a lot to do with it. Their food sources have a lot to do with it. So their appearance could be different depending on what area of the country they're in.
Do you think Bergman's law, where the farther you go north, the bigger the animals are? Do you think that would affect the Bigfoot, or do you think
it seems to? The ones that are reported, like out of Florida and Mississippi and places like that, seem to be smaller than the ones up north. So yeah, I really believe that's true.
Yeah.
I hear the ones in Alaska are a lot bigger than the ones in the continental United States. They seem to be reported to be 10, 12 foot tall up there, where the ones around here probably not. I think the ones in North America probably top out about 9 feet, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, and Bergman's law is just basically the farther you go north, the colder it is, bigger body mass stays warmer longer and easier. So that's all it is. What else? Any other good questions here?
Well, there was that one episode on this one show called Monster Quest. I think it was in Louisiana.
Yeah.
These people went into the woods and they encountered a 10 to 13 foot tall creature. Like pretty much they were shooting at it, and it wiped everybody out except for a couple people that went back to the settlement to tell the tale of it. I mean, do you remember that one?
Yeah, I kind of remember vaguely.
Yeah.
There's an incident like that, I think, in Kentucky, too.
Oh, well, it could have been that.
Yeah, something like that happened. I think it was in Kentucky. And then wasn't it Daniel Boone that reported that he shot one? I think.
Yeah, he did.
The one guy I talked to, he was in the military and he was there for the Kandahar incident. I don't know if you guys know about that or not, where supposedly they killed one. They killed one in Kandahar, and he said he saw the body and he said it was 14 foot.
That's big. Well, we've got humans too that kind of are outliers. You get guys like Shaquille, and he's not your normal human. He's just huge.
Yeah.
So that happens too. I mean, you can't rule that out. Doesn't mean there's another whole species of super tall. And one thing I really don't know, maybe somebody can answer, if they have any kids, are they, big? Does Shaq have kids? Does he?
Yeah, he does. And I don't think they're as tall as he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little more normal. Yeah.
I think they are.
Interesting. Yeah. I guess I've never researched that. I'm not a sports guy really, and watching spectator sports, so I don't know too much.
Well, genetics is genetics no matter what species it is. So, a bigger Bigfoot's going to probably have bigger kids than, one that's a little shorter, a little bit, whatever. And I'm sure that there's very smart Bigfoot and there's very dumb ones too.
Yeah.
Just like, it's just, the role of the genetic dice when something is bred.
So what do you think their super abilities are, Dean? When I say super abilities, one, I'll lead the conversation off. Great strength. What are some of their other super abilities that you suspect?
I think that they have hypersensitive senses. I mean, their hearing is a lot better than ours. Their sense of smell. They may have the ability to see infrared. I think that's maybe why game cams don't seem to pick them up as often as you think they would. They may be actually able to see the infrared from the game cams. That's not unheard of in the animal kingdom. I just think that whatever senses we have, they probably have them 10 times more powerful than we do. So that's why one of the reasons why they can stay hidden and live on the fringes of civilization without being detected very easily.
What do you think about?
I think most times Bigfoot sightings happen when the Bigfoot makes a mistake.
Yeah. Go ahead, Alex.
What do you think of infrasound?
Infrasound, I've heard that it does exist in other species. I think it does exist. I heard it exists in other species. Why can't it exist in Bigfoot?
Have you ever been hit with infrasound?
I already asked him that, I think. He said no, but his friend was.
Oh, got it. I must have been looking in the chat.
Not that I'm aware of.
That happens to me too. I get tempted to look and read the chat, and I'm not listening as hard as I should be. It happens. Okay, so
I had one person report to me that he.
All right. So
I did have one person talk to me about infrasound one time. He thought that he was hit by it, but I've never experienced it.
What about did you guys discuss this? What about, like, have you heard some people think that Bigfoot is like supernatural or paranormal or it's interdimensional? Do you think it's just a flesh and blood creature?
I don't think he heard you.
I believe it's a flesh and blood creature. I think it's just a species of great ape that hasn't been identified.
So do you think it's just the intelligence is what's enabled it to evade us for so long?
He's on a big delay.
Oh, sure. I think that they're just as intelligent as we are, or if not, maybe more. I mean, they're master woodsmen. That's another reason why they're not seen. Their woodcraft is 10 times better than the best of us.
Yeah. One of the things that does puzzle me, road crossings are so common. It's 90% of the sightings are road crossings. Why do you think that they allow themselves to be seen, standing next to a road or crossing a road full of headlights? That always puzzles me. We got to be patient here. It's a long delay now. His internet's about to go out.
It's being sent out via carrier pigeon.
Did you hear my question, Dean?
Well, a lot of animals do that. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah. Well, I think they cross the roads because they have to, and sometimes maybe their timing is not that great. They're up there thinking, okay, it's okay to go across, then oops, here comes a car. That probably happens sometimes, but sometimes it also could be curiosity too. They might want to see what the Littlefoot are up to, or what the Littlefoot are driving today, or whatever.
Yeah.
Basically, it could get boring out in the woods, so they kind of check things out just to entertain themselves. Sometimes, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. So yes, there have been internet problems all over the country. I keep hearing about it, and it could be because of our sunspot activity that's having. Carolyn mentioned that they're having tech stuff, but Jim was having troubles the other day. I've heard many reports of internet just being flaky. So it's nobody's fault if you can put up with it. We appreciate it. We've got, I do want to thank some of our members, Helton, Charlotte J.
Yeah.
What else we have here?
Uncle Bones.
Chat here. Yay. I don't know who I'm missing. Anyhow, if I'm missing you, I apologize, but we do want to thank you, and yes, we would love you to become a member of the Untold Radio Network. 10 different shows that we produce now, 10 of them. It's definitely, one place you can get all your shows. You don't have to get a million different notices from a million different people.
Yeah, you can get a million different notices from us.
Just from us, yes. So, how would you like to close the program out, Dean? What do you want to talk about as far as Bigfoot? What do you want to leave us with?
Oh, putting me on the spot, huh?
Yes, sir.
Well, I would say I would like to say this. I've seen this on different Bigfoot documentaries and things, and I've also kind of experienced a little bit with people I've talked to. A lot of people get all excited about going squatching. They're like, "Hey, let's go squatching," and they've never really done anything before, So they'll grab their camcorder or their iPhone or whatever they have, and maybe a recorder, and they'll grab a stick and they'll go out in the woods and start trying to, to be Bigfoot researchers. If you're going to do that, fine. But I would say this to you. If you go out there and do this, you may actually get a response. You may actually get a Bigfoot that's interacting with you. Respect it. Don't be ignorant about it. Don't act like an idiot. Go out there and be respectful if you're going to do this kind of thing, and just know that they do exist and that you may get an interaction with one. Just be prepared for that. Don't get so scared that you run home to mommy. Okay. Because if you're going to go out there and you're going to try to get a response from a Bigfoot, hey, you might get it.
Yeah.
So, just be respectful when you go out there, because there are a lot of us out there that are trying to do this for the right reasons. We're trying to do this because we want to interact with this species and prove that they're real. So you armchair squatchers, just know that you have to be respectful.
It's good advice. With that, I think we're going to sign off. We thank everybody in chat and our live audience, and we thank you very much, Dean.
You're welcome.
You're amazing guest. You look good. You sound good. Abe, always, it's just fun seeing you and hanging out.
You guys too. Nice to meet you, Dean.
Look forward.
Nice to meet you too.
Look forward to hearing back on your search for those blue acrylics.
Absolutely. We'll keep you posted.
All right. Thank you very much.
Squatch
Thanks,
on.
Alex. Great job. And we'll talk to everybody on next Wednesday.
Take care, everyone.
Yep.
Good night.
Keep it squatchy.
Call you up in the middle of the night, been bothered by dreams, ain't feeling alright. You give me comfort, say just give it some time. By the end of our talk, I'm feeling just fine.